Hi, guys. Hope you're having a great evening. It's Fred and Sheila with Hatfield McCoy Museum and FS Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. You can look at the background, tell what this video is going to be on.
Yep.
Trooper Johnny Edrington, murdered on the side of the road on Kentucky 80, December the 20th,
20th.
1988.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, for those hardcore CSI people out there, this is going to be a good one. Going to get a glare off of my computer again, I believe.
Oh, there you go. It's a little bit better.
It's going to be a good one. A lot of information in this video. It's going to be long.
Yes. Sorry.
She may have turned it into 2. We'll just wait and see. But long video covering DNA, covering social media, covering idiots, child sexual predator. Stay with us. First, I'm going to be reading a lot of this.
Okay.
Off the computer, so excuse me for looking away, but I'm doing that for a purpose. Second, anything we say here, if we're wrong, or you find something that we're wrong on or incorrect, if you'll notify us, Sheila will edit it.
We'll be glad to.
Modify it, change it, we'll apologize, so forth. We don't mean to spread any type of untrue or incorrect information. That's not the way Sheila and I work.
Right.
We don't work like that on the Hatfield McCoy history. And we don't work like that on this. There are people that does. It's called written in the history, spoken in the history. And a lot of times that's what happens. And let's go on. What we're going to start off with here, first of all, is a Facebook page. And the Facebook page belongs to Douglas Phelps.
Okay.
Charles Douglas Phelps. The page itself just says Douglas. The legal name, court record name, so forth like that would be Charles D. Phelps. And on this site, they have that cross that Sheila and I put up on Trooper Edrington's site where he was murdered near the site. We put it up on the hill just a little bit so when they mow or a vehicle pulls down in there, they won't knock it over. If you hit it there, it would pretty much be intentional. And that's the picture that they have on Mr. Phelps's Facebook page where he started a topic concerning Johnny Edrington. Now, the topic is not, let's find the killer of Johnny Edrington. Let's investigate this. Let's go get him. Let's all stick together. The message is our family's been put through heck over this. Nobody would like to see it solved more than us. And then it goes on later on that a person said that case was solved that night. And that's what the problem is. The case was not solved. An opinion was formed by some that night, but the case wasn't solved. An opinion, guys, everybody's got them. Everybody's got opinions. That's not how we solve police cases, homicides, murders, sexual assaults, things like that with opinions. We solve them in court. You look at court records, you look at the case file, you look at the evidence. So, going to be taking my time. So, some of you, we may lose you. I think it's going to be an interesting video because some of the interesting stuff is probably not going to come till the main end. But if you fast forward and you go to the main end, you're probably not going to know what we're referring to because it may have come up in the middle and we're just following up. But either way, on this site, on Doug Phelps's Facebook page. They were talking about Johnny Edrington, Trooper Johnny Edrington. And a lady asked Jimmy Phelps, "Do you not have access to the evidence files?" Verbatim. That's the post.
Hmm.
"Do you not have access to the evidence files?" she asked Jimmy. Now, Jimmy is Doug's brother and Johnny's brother, Johnny Phelps. Jimmy and Johnny are twins. Both of them were Kentucky State Troopers for a while. And Doug, he took a different route. And Johnny was a detective and Jimmy was a trooper. And this Doug Phelps comes back and he says, "Sandy, nobody does except those in KSP investigations." She asked about the evidence file. He's Doug, who has no law enforcement background other than from the other side of the law. He answers the question. Nobody's got it except the Kentucky State Police. Well, we've got some questions here that I wrote down, and one of them is, did KSP Detective Johnny Phelps or Trooper Jimmy Phelps ever show photos of Trooper Johnny Edrington's body to anybody over the last 36 years? It's a reasonable question. It's nothing derogatory. Guys, I don't mean to be derogatory. If I ask anything or say anything and it sounds mean or it sounds provocative, it's not meant to be. I'm basically asking what I would like to ask them in person.
Okay.
Did they ever show, did Detective Phelps or Trooper Jimmy Phelps ever show anybody over the last 36 years photographs or case file evidence from Johnny Edrington's death or his remains? Did Detective Johnny Phelps or Trooper Jimmy Phelps keep a copy of their supplemental uniform offense report that was included in Edrington's file? Any trooper, any detective that had anything to do with the Johnny Edrington case should have filled out a supplemental report that is attached to the Kentucky Uniform Offense Report and placed into the file. Each person, each trooper, anybody that had anything to do with that case, they would have put a report, and that's what's in that case file. It's what Sheila and I have wanted to see for quite some time, but you can't see it because the case is open. Have they shown that report to anyone over the last 36 years? Would there be anybody that has contacted Sheila and I and said that these two, or anybody else, but these two I'm asking about because this is the Facebook page that's talking about it. So let's just respond to them since they brought it up and they're asking different questions. So have they, Jimmy and Johnny, ever shown pictures of Johnny Edrington on the side of the road, in the funeral home, on the gurney, in the body bag? Have they ever shown any pictures of his head, facial area, to anybody? It would be interesting. We'd like to know. Is it a crime? It's unprofessional. It would definitely be unprofessional. Is it a crime? It's evidence. Definitely would break protocol, you would think, with the Kentucky State Police policy. And if you'll break policy, if you'll break protocol, if you'll bend the rules here, bend the rules there, then you might bend them somewhere else. It's just the way things work. Is it proper protocol for KSP troopers, detectives, even post commanders, Lieutenant Colonel Asher, to make personal copies of a case file or files and keep as their own. You know, the original goes to Frankfurt, or the original goes into a file cabinet. And but did any of those officers keep copies? And could they swear under oath? Let's use this hand to make sure we're telling the truth. Could they swear under oath that they've never shared pictures with nobody? They've never shared the case report with nobody. They never made a copy of none of the case reports or none of the supplemental reports. They've never done it. They could swear under oath that they're telling the truth. Wouldn't those files be considered evidence? Of course they are, especially with the murder/homicide case still being open. And according to the state police, the case is still active. Now, I'm going to read something here. I was going to read the entire paragraph, but I don't have to, because you can go to that page right there on Doug's Facebook page and you can read the paragraph I'm getting ready to read. But I've divided it up into different sentences where I can respond to each sentence. Technically, the case is open as a cold case, and that limits access to the case file. This is Doug, from what I can understand, this is Doug Phelps' comment. Well, on this statement, Sheila and I would agree 100%. He's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the case is open as a cold case, and that limits the access to the file. He's correct. It keeps anyone from looking at the file. That's us. As long as that case is open, it keeps anybody from filing an open records request or looking at that file. They tell us that the state police, there's nobody in the state police, the detectives or nobody can look at that file other than that lieutenant or ever who it is now.
Who has the key to the
At one time, it was the commissioner of the state police, from what I can understand. Could be wrong. From what I understand, the case file is back at Post 11, locked away in Lieutenant's filing cabinet now. They got it out of Frankfurt.
Really?
I don't know. All we got to go on, guys, is what people tell us.
Yep.
Some of these people seem pretty reliable. Anyway, that's questionable. Questionable as to why it's locked away and nobody's allowed to see it. Doug continues, contrary to statements made by idiot hillbilly YouTubers, the case is not and has not been closed. We've made several videos on Trooper Edrington's death and Doug Asher, and even made a video on the Phelps brothers where they had made comments about us on another video, so we responded. Idiot hillbilly YouTubers, the case is not and never has been closed. If that's correct, then we're mistaken, because I don't think we have ever said that case was closed.
Not that I can recall.
If that case was closed, we would be able to file an open records request and get copies of it. So I think that's a misstatement, probably a fib, or it's not true. Whether he said it intentionally or he may have been concentrating on giving us a title more than he was whether we actually said the case was closed or not. But idiot hillbilly YouTubers. Well, this idiot hillbilly YouTuber is now retired from a 40-year career, law enforcement career. From what I can understand, Johnny and Jimmy spent 20 or less in the state police. So both those guys combined, I trump you. I've got more years by myself than you do combined. Doesn't mean anything, but not always been an idiot YouTuber. I'm going to assume that he was only referring to me as an idiot. And the S was added by mistake, because if it was intentional, then that would be insulting to my wife. And I'd have to respond to that with something like, why would I care what a convicted child sexual predator thought about me and my wife? See, in order to respect a person's opinion of you, you should have to respect that person and their character and their credibility, honor, traits like that. You would have to have some of those traits before something you thought about somebody would be taken seriously. So, considering what I've seen the last couple of days, I probably don't feel you, babe. I don't put a lot of credit in his opinion. Everybody's
Right.
allowed to have their opinion.
Sure.
But I think maybe Mr. Phelps is just referring to me. I won't have to defend my wife's honor and bring up Mr. Charles Douglas Phelps's prior criminal history and conviction to child, sex porn, etc. It's not a conviction. He actually pled guilty to some of these charges. You know, the sad thing about the criminal justice system, it's like a horse trade. You'll trade this for that, and you make deals to keep from wasting jurors' time, court's time, Commonwealth attorney's time, judges' time, witnesses' times. You save the witnesses from having to relive what they may have gone through.
The trauma or whatever.
The trauma. Yeah, especially a child. So
yeah.
A lot of prosecutors, if they can plead something out when it involves children, they'll plead it out so they don't have to take the stand. But what I'm going to do here, this is not personal.
Okay.
I'm just going to read this stuff off. Y'all take it for what it is. Full name, Charles D. Phelps. Date, 1/23/2012. 6:37 p.m. Kentucky State Police, Post 11. Arrest age, he was 52 years old, male. London, Kentucky, 5'11". 1, sexual abuse first degree. 2, unlawful transaction with the minor, third degree. Number 3, sexual abuse first degree. Number 4, unlawful transaction with a minor, third degree. Number 5, sexual abuse first degree. Now, 1 and 2 are, to me, would be one person, one child,
because
it's unlawful transaction with a minor, and sexual abuse first, that would be a minor, or by force or something like that. And then 3 and 4 would be a second person, the way I'm looking at
twice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one is Charles D. Phelps, 11/15/2013, 155. Arresting agency is Laurel County Circuit Court. Age 54. London, Kentucky, male, 6'2".
What?
6'2". When he was arrested the year before, he was 5'11". We've had a growth spurt here. He was 5'11" when he was first arrested by the Kentucky State Police, and now charges are filed by the clerk's office, circuit court, which would probably be the Commonwealth attorney, and he's 6'2". This man has grown 4 inches while he's been in jail at 52 years old. Had a growth spurt. Tampering with a witness. Process, view matter, portrayal, sexual performance by a minor. That's what the court's Commonwealth attorney looks like has filed, probably by information instead of the grand jury. I don't know that. Speculating. Let's don't speculate.
Yeah,
there's the court record. Read it for what it is. You can go to the Laurel County court system and look this stuff up.
Wow.
And the next one is Charles D. Phelps, 10/9/2013, 4:09 p.m. London Police Department.
Wait, so that was
4
3
years
different
old.
departments?
London, Kentucky, 6'1". Here he's 6'1". Sexual abuse first, unlawful transaction with a minor. Sexual abuse first, unlawful transaction. Looks like the same charges from the first arrest at the state police. Looks like maybe London PD has opened the case and they've turned it over to the state police, or Well, let's look at the
Look at,
date.
I was gonna say, look at your dates
Yeah.
and see.
Okay, that's October 2013 when London PD had it.
Okay.
October 2013 when London PD had it. Kentucky State Police had this case.
Up there, sure, up there.
1/23/2012. So the state police originally brought the charges.
Okay.
And then
2012. In 2012.
2012. Looks like in 2013 they have given it over to, and probably rightfully so, because of the two other brothers being Kentucky State police officers.
Okay.
My opinion, but again, we wasn't going to do that, was we? So let's just go on. You have to come up with your own conclusion as to why one agency had it. Okay. This is a newspaper article. I'm going to move on here in a minute, guys, but this Mr. Charles Dougie Phelps called me and my wife idiots, and I'm trying to see if I should put any stock in that of his opinion of us. This is a newspaper article. Phelps pleads guilty, must register as sex offender.
Okay.
By Nita Johnson, staff writer, November the 5th, 2013. It shows him and two attorneys. A former school administrator will serve a 3-year prison sentence and register as a sex offender after entering guilty pleas in Lowell Circuit Court on Thursday. Charles Douglas Phelps, 54, answered guilty to felony charges before Lowell Circuit Court. Tom Jensen, clad in brown jumpsuit issued by the Lowell County Detention Center, the 54-year-old Phelps stood between his attorney, Gary Crabtree, and Conrad Cessna, both of London, as he entered the guilty pleas. He pled guilty. Phelps will now serve a 2-year sentence for possessing child pornography, followed by another year's imprisonment for tampering with a witness. He is currently on home incarceration until his sentencing date of November the 15th, with the condition he have no contact with the two victims in a sexual abuse indictment and no access to possession of a cell phone, a computer, or internet, or texting message device. He is permitted to leave his residence only for court appearances and to meet with the Office of Probation and Parole.
So there were two victims, because remember on the thing you said it looked like it was two.
It's coming up there. I see them now.
Sorry.
You're okay. Phelps' trial date for first-degree sexual abuse was put off on October the 8th when the witness failed to appear to testify against him. See, if you'll notice, I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's in the newspaper. It cost me 99 cents. You have to go to the Echo, Centennial Echo, whatever it is there in London. You can go to the library and probably bring it up on microfilm for free. 14 and a 17-year-old girls. 14 and 17-year-old girls. Sexual contact in early 2011. You know, originally the charges were first-degree sexual abuse, unlawful transaction with a minor. All these charges in the beginning, but in the end, looks like he pled to tampering with a witness and child pornography. Phelps trial date, 14, 17-year-old, exposed the 14-year-old to sexual contact. Gave her alcohol. November 3rd and 5th, subjecting the 17-year-old to sexual contact. But when the 14-year-old just became false, Phelps' trial date last Commonwealth Attorney Jackie Steele requested those charges be dropped. The 14-year-old recanted. I'm going to speculate a little bit, but goes back up there to the charge of tampering with a witness. I don't know. I only spent 40 years as a police officer, but that's what I would assume. On October the 8th, Phelps was set for trial on the sexual abuse case against the 17-year-old who did not appear in court. It's ordered by Jensen to have no contact with the victims. What's going on here? We got two victims that's claimed sexual contact. Something's happened sexually.
Mm,
A lot of things come under sexual contact. A lot of things that could cover a lot of things.
okay.
Could cover the big one. It could. I don't see that, so let's don't go there.
Right. Sounds good.
I feel you, babe. I feel that knee beating my knee to death. Phelps was jailed on October 9th for violating his bond condition, although he was never specified which condition he violated.
Whoa.
He violated something. Well, he was under don't be on the internet, don't be on the phone, don't be this and that, don't have no contact with the victims. Just days later, Phelps was indicted on other related charges for tampering with a witness and bribing a witness. 17-year-old in the case.
Oh, wow.
The latest indictment by information. See, there's two ways to get somebody up on charges in circuit court for felonies. Indictment, you take them before the grand jury and take the evidence before the grand jury, and the grand jury decides 9 out of 12 people decides whether this case needs to be forwarded on up to a jury to be heard for a trial. Thank you, babe. Or if there's no true bill and it goes on its way. Get ready to see an interesting case in London. We're all knowledgeable on the Doug Harless, bless his heart, case.
Yes.
We haven't forgot about Doug Harless. We just people wanted to make it look like something it wasn't with Sheila and I when we started covering this case, and it's not. We think the state police will do the same thing with the Doug Harless case they did with the Johnny Edrington case or the Joseph Couch case, but we'll see. Hopefully.
Maybe not.
Anyway, and the other way to get somebody before a circuit court judge or trial is an information. An information is something that the prosecutor, the Commonwealth attorney, and this was Jackie Steele, and we're familiar with him because he's still the Commonwealth attorney there in Lowell County now over the Doug Harless case, and he's the special prosecutor over
Mickey Stein's.
Thank you, babe. Mickey Stein's case.
Yeah.
I think he's a good attorney. I don't know. We get all kinds of text messages, emails, but there's nobody ever going to.
You can't please everybody.
Nobody out there is going to brag on everybody. But to me, so far from what I've seen on him, very credible. And so if a prosecutor or Commonwealth attorney feels like the evidence is there and there's enough of it that it's so overwhelming that he doesn't have to go to a grand jury, he feels comfortable in filing the information. Now, I could be wrong. I'm going to speculate one little bit. I have a feeling that after this all took place and this all happened with him filing the information for tampering with a witness, bribing a witness, and so forth, I have a feeling that there was probably a plea bargain in the works at that time that says, hey, let's drop these other charges or merge them in.
Okay.
Not that he's not guilty of this, but we're going to let's plead guilty to the tampering and the pornographic material. Not just pornographic material. You'll hear later on where it involved sexual performances.
Oof.
Phelps waived his right for a formal arraignment on 2 new charges: possession of material portraying a sexual performance by a minor. So this was, and moved straight to a hearing and sentence on the indictment by information rather than the new charges presented to the grand jury. So basically what we said. I skimmed over this today, but I actually didn't even see that. But so
that's all right.
No, I'm right on it. That's exactly what they filed the information, knowing they were going to go ahead. The deal was worked out, and he's agreed to plead to that. Phelps wished to enter a guilty plea on 2 different counts. One on the possession of child pornography charge, and his most recent indictment on tampering with a witness. See, tampering with a witness doesn't sound near as bad as sexual assault first or third, whatever it was up there earlier. That doesn't sound near as bad. Jensen allowed the motion to bond for 3 cases to be set at $10,000 cash, the amount originally set in the sex abuse indictment. The bond was posted by Phelps, was placed on home incarceration until sentencing date, November the 15th, Phelps was to have to register as a sexual offender and remain on that register for 20 years or until he was 74 years old. Sexual offenders must report their residence, cannot live within 1,000 foot of a school or child care facility, and cannot work in any field where minor
Age children.
age children are present. Can't be around minor age children. Register as a sex offender. He called my wife and I idiots.
What?
Phelps was director of pupil personnel for the Loyal County School District in November 2011 when the alleged sexual contact. I don't know why they've said alleged. It's a newspaper, and that's okay. We'll go ahead and say alleged, but
Okay.
I don't think we have to. He's pled guilty to it. He's guilty. He's pled. He wasn't even convicted. He went ahead and just said, "Hey, I voluntarily acknowledge I'm guilty." Because see, a person's not going to plead guilty to something unless you're guilty. When the alleged sexual contact and access to alcohol occurred after the claims of sexual abuse came to light, Phelps was suspended while the investigation was underway. He vacated the position with the school system after this guy worked for the school system there in Loyal County. He worked around children. We're almost done with this part.
Okay.
Daggone it, we up to 30 minutes.
Yep.
I've definitely took my time, but here we go, guys.
Okay.
Was pardoned this month by Governor Matt Bevins and sentenced to prison. He had been sentenced to prison in 2013 after pleading guilty to possessing child pornography. Charles Douglas Phelps, 60, was ordered in November 2013 to register as a sex offender for 20 years after pleading guilty to possession of sexual matter depicting a minor in a sexual performance and tampering with a witness. Now, don't let that fool you. Those original charges was sexual contact with a 14 and a 17-year-old. That's the original charges. This is what he pled to avoid a trial. Was that to avoid a trial for the children? Who knows? Bevin pardoned the Republican governor issued during his last day in office on December the 9th. He means Phelps will be removed from the sex offender registry. Well, the governor not only let him go, let him get out of prison, let him pardon him from the charges, so forth. He don't even have to register as a sex. He's like it's never happened, like it'll never happen again. It's not something that's in you. Let's take that away too. Wow. Politics, guys, politics is so sickening. No wonder our country's in the shape that it's in. Phelps would no longer require to report where he lives or to remain more than 1,000 foot yards of a school or daycare center. That's I don't recall us ever stating that this case was closed. We know it was not closed. That's finishing up with that last one. Now, that's all I'm going to say on that. That's court records. That's public record there at Loyal County Courthouse. From what I can understand from the people that's called us over the last few days, I have a feeling that there's not many in Loyal County that doesn't know this. Because if the case was closed, it would be open to open records. We're going back to what his comment was way up there when he called us names. And that's when he said that we were stupid because the case has never been closed. We've never said the case was closed. We said it was inactive. We said that they're not actively investigating them. So rather than insult Mr. Doug Phelps's intelligence, I'll just assume that he made another mistake like that of calling my wife an idiot. Continuing on in that paragraph, it says, pleading to the governor to reopen an open case is one of the dumber things I've ever seen done. He's talking about where Sheila and I have requested the governor. We've sent letters to the governor. We've sent letters to the Attorney General of Kentucky. We've sent letters to congressmen and senators. We've asked anybody that will. Like I said, we we'd contact the little green man on the moon if we thought it would help.
If it would help.
Yeah. But Doug says that pleading to the governor to reopen this case is one of the dumbest things he's ever seen. I just read some of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Sad.
We would plead to the man on Mars if we thought it would get this case re-investigated. Sorry, I forgot this Mr. Phelps, since Phelps's experience has been on the other side of the law. See, Doug Phelps has been on the other side of the law. He's on the other side of the fence. So he probably doesn't know how the criminal justice system works on the police side to ask for something to be reinvestigated.
Mm-hmm.
Looked at again with fresh eyes, with more credible officers, detectives. Pleading to the governor to have Commissioner Philip Burnett, to reinvestigate was something we requested. Sheila and I. We requested that Philip Burnett open the case. He's the state police commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have much faith in him. He's the one that stood on the counter, I feel you, and said that the state police had found Mr. Couch when it was live on YouTube. Sheila was live streaming. That was a total lie. Total lie. So we don't have much faith in him, but we asked him to reopen it. But if he didn't reopen it, we ask that the governor order him to reopen it. See, he works for the governor. The governor appointed, Andy Beshear appointed Philip Burnett to that position.
Yeah.
The way we understand it, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Asher's son, also a former state trooper for a while, now works for Governor Beshear. We wonder why we can't get the case reopened. I think KSP has kept the case open intentionally to keep eyes out of the file. That's in that paragraph. That's from Doug, and very smart, Dougie. We agree with you on that. But that could all change with enough interest from the general public and news media. We have always hoped that all the living KSP detectives and troopers from that time would sign a formal request with the Kentucky State Police Commissioner requesting that this case be reassigned to a young troopers, young detectives, gung-ho detectives that don't care where the chips may fall. They're going to call it like they see it. Asking the case to be reassigned and solved. This case is solvable, guys. There's only a handful of suspects. We also ask if anything in the report case has been falsified, that those responsible for the false and misleading information be subject to criminal prosecution and the case be presented to a grand jury. We ask that the case be reassigned, reinvestigated, and if these detectives find anything in there where I'm going to read something later on that you understand why I'm saying that for.
Okay.
See, a criminal investigation shouldn't sway one way or the other. Put the evidence in there. Don't hold none out and don't add nothing to it. It's like the Bible. Don't add to it. Don't take away. Read it for what it says, and that's what you got. And then Dougie says, as I stated in my post, open the file and show the facts. And Dougie says, open the file and show the facts. Once again, we agree. We agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
This case has to be reassigned and solved.
It would be nice for his
It's
family.
the right thing to do in order to clear up all the rumors started on people over the years, including the most important of which was Trooper Johnny Edrington, who has no way of defending himself. You know, there's no secret about it. They even posted on their social media page there that they've been rumors on them and wrongfully accused and so forth, and very, very well could happen. See, we don't know. We don't have the file. They won't talk to us, or haven't so far. So we don't know. The thing about them, the difference in them and Johnny Edrington is they They're still alive. They can fight every day and maintain their innocence of any involvement whatsoever. They can do that. Johnny Edrington can't.
Right.
He can't do that. We're going to go to that here in a second, and even a new one. But Jack and Patty, his parents, of course, fought for Johnny as long as they could until they passed away.
Bless their hearts.
So our suggestion is that we all come together, request the Kentucky State Police Commissioner to reassign this case.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't work, I recommend that we request the governor to order the Kentucky State Police Commissioner to reassign the case. The governor is his boss. If that doesn't work, we recommend that we ask the Kentucky Attorney General to step up and open a case on why the Johnny Edrington case has not and is not been investigated properly. What? I wish the Attorney General would take an interest in this, because he may find it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like we said earlier, I don't know the Attorney General, but politics is a main thing.
Yes.
Moving on, going to read just one message, a text message we received over the last few months since we have become involved in this case. Read here. Okay, guys, we're going to change channels here. We're going to go to a different topic.
Okay.
This was it's still on my machine. I could play it here, but the lady gives her name.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't play it, and somebody would recognize her voice. Let me see where I want to start. I'm from so-and-so. I've lived here. I'm 75 years old. I just want to say, if you want to find out who killed Edrington, you need to get DNA at his daughter and DNA of, and she names a couple of gentlemen. And she says, then you'll find out who killed Trooper Edrington. Well, you know, guys, when this all came out, I'll have to admit, I thought the same way. We first read Asher. We first saw the video of Asher on the news advertising his book, and he talks about Johnny Edrington case. And if you'll go watch our first video, you'll see how Sheila and I changed, because first video, for years and years and years, we bought into this S side. We bought into it. Had there ever been a DNA? That was our question. Had there ever been a DNA? Needed to be a DNA, because if any of these rumors are true and somebody's harmed or killed Johnny, what was the purpose in doing it? Was it drug related? Was it chop shop related? Was it something else related? Who would ask Johnny's only daughter such an insulting question? From the beginning, Sheila and I was talking, well, one thing that needs to be done, besides some polygraphs for other people and different investigative things, was that first person should make sure she's who they say she is. Well, you look at the pictures, you look at the funeral, the memorial thing every year they have, the state police does, and you see this person there, looks just like her dad, looks just like her father. But sometimes that can be deceiving. Who would ask Johnny's daughter such an insulting question? How would you ask her? What would you say to her? Hey, would you go take a DNA? Then we were shown a photo of Johnny as a child.
Yeah.
What's her grand? And another photo of Johnny's grandson, the same age. Two pictures put side by side.
Yep.
Sheila can put the one of Johnny on here. We won't of the grandson, but
right.
Yeah, you could put the one of the grandson beside of Johnny, and you're looking at it in a mirror.
Looks like twins.
So if you'd see those two, Johnny and his grandson's pictures together, you'd realize no DNA test was needed. However, even the grandson saw the two photos of him and his grandfather and asked, Is that me there too?
Yeah.
He thought it was him in both pictures, little boy, while pointing at the photo of his grandfather.
Yeah.
However, for some, that wouldn't suffice. So Johnny's only daughter, his only child, spit in a tube, swabbed her mouth, and submitted the sample for a DNA test.
Yeah.
I get chills when I read that because that's something for a child. Because people, some people get so bent out of shape because they're grown men, and there may be a rumor out there about them that they could very easily have cleared up over the years by just solving the case.
That would have been
By just solving the case, and the rumors would have been cleared up, but they didn't solve the case. I don't understand that. But this little girl here, she grew up without a dad, without her biological dad.
Birth father, yeah.
Her birth father. And the results are yes. Callie Edrington Maggard is the daughter of Johnny and Diane Edrington.
Yep.
So for all you people out there, well, I've got it. So for all those who out there who ever questioned if the baby Diane was carrying was Johnny's, yes, it was. Yep. And not only do you owe Johnny an apology, but you owe Diane an apology as well. For all you people that thought that maybe somebody else's. Well, now you know. See, because guys, during Sheila and my investigation and our videos, we've cleared it up that Johnny was homicide. Johnny was murdered. It's not a S side. That's over. Doug Asher says overwhelming. These other people on these Facebook pages says if the evidence was where's the evidence, guys? Whatever other evidence do you have? What is there other than somebody has put his gun in the wrong hand after they shot him? What other? And he fell, and the gun's still in his hand. It's not evidence. That's a most staged homicide or S side you're ever going to find. But
yep.
So now we can rule out the S side, and we can rule out Johnny's daughter is anybody other than Johnny's.
Exactly.
She's had a DNA, and she is the daughter of Johnny and Diane Edrington. Case closed. Put that to rest, guys, for all you people that always thought these other things or were led to believe that. Yeah. Somebody led you to believe that could be my daughter, could be so-and-so's daughter, could be. Really? She's not. There was never a question as to whose daughter she was. There was Johnny and Diane had a good marriage up to the time that Johnny was deceased.
Right.
She was a good wife to Johnny, and Johnny was a good husband to her. Everything that we have found out. And believe me, if it was out there, by now we would have found it out.
Yep.
On one of our posts, on one of our videos, and now she's on Doug's post. You all can go to Facebook, look at Doug's post, and you'll see a post by Lisa Faber, 7590, Faber. And she says, and I've also divided her post up into sentences so I can respond.
Sections, okay.
And she said, first of all, on our page, on our video, just to help you out on the case, I am the ex-wife of Johnny Edrington. Well, that sentence right there should tell you a lot. Any of you out there divorced, ever been divorced, getting divorced? Divorces are ugly. There's not 1% of a divorce where people divorce and maintain any kind of decency for the other party. It's just not the way life works. But just to help out with the case, I'm the ex-wife of Johnny Edrington. Well, I say, this is me talking.
Yeah.
Ex-wife says a lot. I was married to him for 5 years, and we were divorced only 6 months before his death. Well, they were divorced in April. Johnny died in December. How about 9 months before his death? See, Sheila and I learned a long time ago in the Hatfield McCoy research things that just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. She just spoke in the history, or wrote in the history on that page that we were divorced only 6 months before his death. Sorry, but that's not true. We'll show you proof in a minute, but they were divorced in April. Johnny died in December. Do the math. 9 months. 9 months. Sheila will post this picture here. Law Office of Coleman D. Moberly, 106 Board Street, London, Kentucky. Received of Johnny Edrington, April the 14th, 1988. This is a receipt from 1988. Kept it that long. Johnny's mother and father kept everything. Johnny's mother and father, that was his saints. They took care. That was their son. They were devastated.
Yeah, that was their baby.
They were not only devastated that their son had been murdered and killed, but they were devastated that there was a few people that wanted to dishonor his name for some reason. $300 for divorce. Balance due, 0. By Rebecca Combs.
And that was on April 14th.
April the 14th,
Okay.
1988.
Okay.
Now, this lady says that Johnny died 6 months after they were divorced. April 14th payment made. The reason, this is her talking, the reason of the divorce was because he was cheating on me and got another woman pregnant. Okay. This is her comment, or it looks like it comes from her. And now she's on Facebook talking on that page, on her Facebook page. The reason for the divorce was because he was cheating on me and got another woman pregnant. Okay. They got divorced in April, guys. Back, I don't know what it is now. Back in the day, especially the 80s, you could, a notary republic could divorce you, just notarize. You could do your own divorce. Took you 30 days. Judge, if you didn't have no children in common, no property, no big deal, it was a self thing. You could do it yourself. He got a lawyer here. He paid a lawyer to do it, but no children involved, no property, no dispute over anything. She's probably, nobody's contesting it. Thank you, babe. Okay. She's probably took her maiden name back. He was cheating on me and got another woman pregnant. Well, guys, Johnny Edrington took his wife's pee to the Kentucky State Police lab because she had missed her cycle and thought maybe they were pregnant. He was all excited. Sheila's going to post all this at the end of the video.
I'll post the pictures, guys, so you can see everything.
This is the form. This is the
actual form.
And pregnancy test positive, 11/1/88. November the 1st, they said, yes, Johnny's got big letters. Yes.
Yes. Oh.
She's pregnant. Now, this lady says, his ex-wife says that he was cheating on her. The reason for the divorce, because he was cheating on her and got another woman pregnant. Well, if he did, that's the longest pregnancy in history. Should be in the
Guinness Book of Records.
Guinness Book of Records, because she was pregnant for 14 months then, if that's true.
Ooh.
Because they got divorced in April. Actually, Diane and Johnny got married on June the 10th, I think it was. We'll get to it in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but they got married on June the 10th. They'd done been married. Some people says, oh, she was pregnant when they got married. Johnny had to marry her because he'd got her pregnant. Let's do the math in a minute, guys. Which was this lady, she says, his ex-wife says, which was his new wife at the time of his death. I know with all my heart it was suicide. I ain't going to say the S word. I know with all my heart that it was S-side. This is me. And I wrote this to her on our page because I think this is a slanderous remark, and we didn't delete it in case the Edrington family wants to screenshot it. And if they don't, we did already for them.
Okay.
That is a thought I wrote. An opinion. What proof do you have? Without proof, that is nothing more than an opinion or rumor, and a slanderous one at that, as this fella is no longer here to defend himself. Now, I'm not going to be, let's let you all figure it out. I was going to use a word that I like to use when people's not telling the truth, but she says he died 6 months after uh, they were divorced. It was 9 months. She said that he got another woman pregnant while they were married that's why they got divorced. She didn't get pregnant until November the 1st. November the 1st. She missed one cycle. November the 1st is when she was pregnant. In fact, she had the baby. We'll get to it in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
April the 14th, payment was made on divorce. November the 1st is she's pregnant. By my calendar, that's 8 months. So from the time he got divorced and the time she got pregnant, they'd done been married 8 months.
They've been married 8 months or divorced 8 months?
Well, he'd been divorced 8 months.
Right.
Because he got divorced in April.
Right.
They got married in June.
Right.
So from April to November till she got pregnant was 8 months. Couldn't got her pregnant while married, or at least cheating, as he had already filed for divorce on April the 14th, 8 months earlier. Couldn't have got her pregnant. He married Diane June the 3rd, 1988. Daughter was born, Callie was born 14 months later, July the 18th, I believe. I'll come up on it. There's nothing. She says, this is her wording when I get in the black there. Okay. There is nothing left to hide anymore. Johnny's life was a mess because of decisions he made, and he ended his life. I guess she's... I know, baby. She must have really... What a comment to make. The man served honorably in the U.S. Army, attained the rank of sergeant, served his enlistment, and joined the Kentucky's most elite law enforcement agency. She said he was a mess. He was a mess. He was a mess because of decisions he made in his life, and he ended it. Really? Happiest he ever was. He wanted a baby, and Diane gave him one. The good Lord gave him one.
There you go.
His ex-wife says on a public forum, his life was a mess. Wow. I guess he was a broken man after she divorced him. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. It was Johnny who filed for divorce. I guess he must have been really devastated. He divorced her, but he's a mess. He's devastated. I guess a person can believe anything we want to in this life. What a person may be believing that he was so devastated over the divorce that he wanted, and what she thought was two different things, because he was happily married to Diane and having a child. Either way, he had gotten remarried, was now having a baby, but his life was a mess according to his ex-wife. Any of you all have exes? If you get along well with them, that's great. Not everybody does.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's maybe some cases that...
Who would step forward? Who would say this about somebody, even 5 years together? Would he say this about her? Had she passed first? Would he dislike her and hate her so bad that all he's got is his memory for his grandchildren and his daughter, but he would step forward and badmouth her and say she was a mess. Who does that? He can't defend himself. She finishes up here. She says, that's the truth. I have always thought that, first of all, that's the truth. Well, that's in the same paragraph where she says, He died 6 months later, and that he got this girl pregnant before they got divorced. So we know that's not the truth. I've always thought the story needs to be on 2020 or Dateline because people are so interested. This is his ex-wife. Oh, okay. Let's take this show on the road. Maybe Dateline would be a good start. Sorry, guys. If I sound a little smart aleckly, it's just that people can say so many things about people once they are dead, because they are dead. They can't defend themselves. Say anything you want to about a dead person. They can't defend themselves. Sheila and I may not be much and may even be idiots, but we'll stand up and take up for those who can't or won't take up for themselves. This, the last thing we've got here, somebody had sent us Jimmy Phelps's page, not Doug, but Jimmy's page.
Okay.
And somebody, this is her talking, Lisa Pratt Faber, Jimmy Phelps. What will happen next? And he says, not sure, but the KSP should talk to everyone that has information they weren't permitted to add to the investigation. What the heck kind of investigation is he talking about? The KSP, the officers should be able to add any information they wasn't able to add during the investigation. That's not an investigation. That's a cover-up. If they had information and they wasn't allowed to.
That's confusing, isn't it?
That ain't confusing. That's
to me,
post 11.
Strange.
Under Doug Asher, under Jimmy and Johnny Phelps. I'm not sure, but the KSP should talk to everyone that has information they weren't permitted to add to the investigation. It's an investigation. You add whatever you want. You submitted whatever you want to with that supplemental offense report and your statement. Now, 36 years later, just like Doug Asher pranced into post 11 before his book came out and said that he gave them a file and said, I want Johnny Edrington's death changed over to a S side. What the heck is that all about? That's people trying to.
Don't make sense.
Jimmy Phelps. This is her. Yes, they should still want to get on that crime show. Who can do that? She still wants to get on her crime show, buddy. Hey, guys, somebody put that woman on a crime show. Let her talk. Let her and Jimmy and Johnny and let these people talk. We want to see what they got to say. Jimmy says, Lisa, not sure, but they would love it. We will check on that. I hope they do. I wish our videos would go somewhere. I wish people would get involved. I wish somebody would contact somebody that's credible and let them really investigate this case. I believe they'll be as.
She said this.
She says, Jimmy, see if Doug has any connections. I know. See if Doug's got any connections. Oh, so many things are coming to mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. I'd like to. And I guess as an idiot, I could probably say them and not even. Okay, I will, he said. Guys, there was another one. And then she says, finally, the truth. There are no other things to believe. Let the facts tell the. What's the facts? What's the facts, Miss Lisa? You said that he died 6 months after y'all were divorced. It's not true. You said that he got a woman pregnant while y'all were married. And that's what caused the divorce. If that's true, she carried that baby for 14 months. So finally, the truth, she says. Yeah, you're hearing it right here. You're hearing the truth right here. And if we're wrong, please correct us. We challenge you. We don't mind being corrected, do we, babe?
No. That's how you get things solved.
Jimmy says, Lisa, just so glad to hear the truth been told. It's a disgrace that this has ever gone on like this. It was solved that night by every investigator on the scene. It was solved that night. Your fellow trooper is killed on the side of the road at the end of his shift, worked his whole shift just so he could off himself at the end. And it was solved that night. See, at least Doug Asher said it was solved that morning, that he brought the detectives into his office and said, "What's your all's thoughts?" And they said, "It's a S side." He said they were all
unanimous.
Thank you. Well, we looked at a report, the offense report filed by Detective Stewart, and that's not what he says. He titled it murder.
Yeah.
Homicide. That's what he titled it. I don't know why he titled it that if he felt it was something else. Guys, I don't know. Maybe the state police maybe they don't speak up for themselves no more or have their own opinion or something, I guess, because it seems like a bunch of wimps. I mean, do you just, you're a law enforcement officer and you just do everything you're told, whether it's criminal or cover up or not, you just do what you're told. Now we're going to add new evidence 36 years later. Wow. It's a disgrace that this has ever gone on like this. It was solved that night by every investigator on the scene. Then Dr. Huntsinker did the autopsy and said the same thing. Dr. Huntsinker went by what the state police told him.
Okay, what
he was a young medical examiner. David Jones, the state medical examiner, and the chief medical examiner, George Nichols. I knew these. I worked with David Jones on cases, knew him well. Very intelligent, both of them. These are older men then. This guy here was young. I'd like to have him looking at this case today. I bet nobody would railroad him and push him into saying something. What was you going to say, babe?
On his death certificate, it doesn't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, the truth has been told and solved that night. No, it was solved when that death certificate was signed. It was solved when the FBI, it was solved when the famous Dr.
Huntsinker.
No, not Huntsinker. That's this one here. What was that doctor's name? The movie that all the famous. That's okay. DeMayo.
Thank you.
It was solved when David Jones. It was solved when George Nichols, chief medical examiner. It was solved when they put homicide on that death certificate. Guys, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Can you imagine how hard it would be for all these people that was involved in calling a S-side, a homicide over 36 years, and nobody has squealed on the other one? Nobody has said, no, it was this, it was that. Nobody. The same people, the same three people that has been fighting it so hard. Jimmy, fighting it so hard. Johnny, with no evidence other than his gun still in his hand after he fell, and it's in the wrong hand, but that's not questionable. The bullet hole is in the center of his head. I've worked, I want to say thousands in 40 years. I want to say thousands, but maybe it just feels like that. But I've worked hundreds and hundreds of suicides in 40 years. Here and there. I have never worked not one suicide there where you would try to do that. Never. We do have a fella that says that a fella told him that another guy held the shotgun on Johnny and he reached over and took his gun and shot him right between the eyes.
Yep.
We have that. He called the state police and talked to him 36 years ago and told him he wanted to talk to the head man. Said the guy said, "You're as high as you can go." And he told him.
Yeah.
Nobody ever come out and talked to him. Well, there was 3 detectives. Did the guy in Frankfort not pass that information on to the 3 detectives? And the 3 detectives just didn't feel it important enough to go talk to this guy? Or did the guy in Frankfort just write it off and say no? See, I don't believe that. I believe the guy in Frankfort told detectives, go check this out. Talk to this guy. They didn't want to talk to him. They already had it. It was an S side. Never in all those years, and I've worked plenty of them, has anybody ever shot themselves in the face like that. And especially, but Doug Asher says that he done scientific, him and Jimmy and Johnny or whoever it was, they done a scientific test on how the gun stayed in his hand. She says, Jimmy, what will happen next? I'm not sure, but the KSP should talk to everyone, information, permit added information. Yes, they should. Still want to get on that crime show, she says. Who can do that? Not sure, but they would love it. We will check on that. Well, if you want to get on a crime show, that's great. Maybe that will bring some attention to the Johnny Edrington case. Maybe that would help us. I'd like to see polygraphs. I'd like to see DNA, other DNAs. I'd like to know one simple question. Did Jimmy Phelps or Johnny Phelps get in a fight in the parking lot at Post 11 with Johnny Edrington a day or 2 or 3 before? I'd like to know that. I'm not sorry, baby.
That's okay.
No, I've really got it off.
So
I'd like to know. That's a question that we have been confronted with. We've been told that. And then we read that, well, Jimmy had the EPO on him, and the sheriff's department had come to the state police to serve him, and Johnny, his brother, protecting him, met him at the door, and him and the deputy sheriff got in a struggle, and Doug Asher had to break it up, and Johnny escaped out the window or something. I forget the whole thing. Correct us if I'm wrong. And I kind of figured, well, maybe that's what they're talking about. But we've been confronted again, and they say, no, that's not what we're talking about. There was a fight between Johnny Edrington and one of the Phelps boys that was a trooper. One of them in the parking lot. Is that true or not? You guys can answer it. Answer it there on your, I'm sure. Answer it anyway. We'll take the answer, whatever you give. Because again, like I said, I'd like to see polygraphs for a lot of these questions and this evidence that they're talking about, and overwhelming evidence.
And if it was an altercation between them, what was the reason?
We were told what the reason was. We were told what the reason was. And some of the witnesses are still alive.
Yeah.
That could confirm or deny that. We know what the fight was over. And if somebody's listening right now, they know what the fight was over, or the harsh words, or the confrontation. Yeah. Guys, I know it's drug out. It's been a long video. No hard feelings with anybody.
Oh.
Sheila and I are investigating the death of Johnny Edrington, a Kentucky state trooper, more than anything, a United States Army veteran who deserves nothing less than the truth be told about him.
Yeah, respect.
Babe, I ain't let you say a word, but you don't want to say a word, do you? Because you're liable to get insulted.
Hey, words can't hurt me. I'm not worried about
sticks and stones may break her bones.
Good Lord's got it.
Difference in being called a name and what we went over tonight in this video. Guys, together, all of us on here, everybody involved. We've got other police officers, especially one dedicated detective, former retired police chief. Excellent, very smart, very intelligent. We have people helping. We have state troopers wanting to help, active state troopers.
Yeah.
They're wanting to help, but they have been told you can't. Now,
don't bring that.
Not everybody's like Fred, McCoy, and Paul Hatfield. That was my partner in Pike County. We were detectives on the sheriff's department. We gave up knowing we'd give up our jobs. We knew we'd lose our jobs.
Right.
Top 2 positions on the sheriff's department. We gave them up to stand up for what was right. Lost our jobs because of corruption, protecting drug dealers. We did it. I guess we did it, I expect everybody else should do that. I wish they would. It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
It is hard. Freshly married, 2 children, give up your job. Of course, because you're young and you're doing the right thing. You think you're doing the right thing. It was the right thing to do, but boy, it's rough. So I can understand these troopers that don't want to.
Yeah.
No, don't cover for them. I can understand them not wanting to, but your state troopers, your sworn law enforcement officers. You're sworn to protect, serve, tell the truth, investigate. You young troopers, you young detectives should be beating on the doors, begging them to reopen, to reassign the Johnny Edrington case, and go get them. Go wherever the evidence leads you.
Track down every lead. Yeah.
You're up, baby.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We hope everybody's doing good this evening. Thanks for watching. As I said before,
That's good.
it's
You don't
all
put your
good.
foot in your mouth, do you, baby?
I just did.
No, you didn't. Nobody's going to get mad at you for repeating yourself twice. It's not like putting yourself in, or my wife having to sit here and edit. You think I get right sometimes. You wouldn't believe some of the things that she has to edit out. And that's why we wanted to stick with the platform tonight, because we've got friends that watch our backs.
Right.
Some of them are attorneys.
Thank you all.
Some of them are attorneys. I've made some good friends over the years as a 40-year career police officer, and we hope we haven't said anything liable or slanderous like some people have. We've tried to watch ourselves and try not to do that. If we have, we apologize and call our hand to it, and we'll apologize again. I don't think we have, and anybody that's looked at our notes doesn't feel that we have. So the truth's the truth. We can't change the truth. We can't change the newspapers. We can't change court records. It is what it is. Catch you next time, guys.
Have a good night, guys. God bless. Bye.